When it comes to modern musical biopics, we can all come to expect a lot of the same things. The common sequence of the artist's childhood, trials and tribulations of substance abuse or excess, and shameless dramatization of the real events. And in the case of the new Maria Callas biopic starring Angelina Jolie, Maria, this film has a surprisingly different approach to those same tropes, modifying color and camera lenses to indicate changing timelines, infusing both voices of the actress and the artist, and altering reality to make us feel the effects of drug addiction, and many more fascinating techniques to put us in the shoes of Maria Callas's beautifully tragic story. And we'll discuss this movie in 3 sections: the symbolism, the psychology, and the true story in this deep dive analysis. The symbolism, truth beyond reality. If you've just seen this movie, you've very likely noticed a quite surreal or even fantastical tone to the whole thing. The dreamy visual style, the extravagant set design, the dramatically poetic story moments. You may even feel like some of this isn't exactly accurate to the time period. And actually, you'd be right. In an interview with the New York Film Festival, director Pablo Larrain explains his reasoning for this creative choice. In the case of Maria Callas, there are about 15 to 20 biographies. I read 8 of them, and out of those 8, 50 or 60% of the content is similar. There's an agreement on what happened, and the remaining 40% really varies enormously among them. So that liberty is the one we took because we work in the arbitrarity of fiction. And we can start to create the illusion that we're seeing what she's seeing, and we're feeling what she's feeling. And that's where cinema can be really magical. So unlike many other Hollywood biopics, Pablo isn't simply embellishing reality for the sake of entertainment. He's using artistic style to enhance our perspective through Maria Callas's eyes. The luxury, the glamour, the pressure, the isolation, and the tragedy. From a cinematography standpoint, the film can be divided into 3 perspectives: the past, shot in black and white; the present day, shot in color with the standard 35mm lens; and for Maria's most reminiscent moments, the classic Super 8mm film camera. The production design sets its foundation with the most rigorous research to replicate the fall season of 1977 Paris. But in the final product, the film decides to amplify the atmosphere with the most grandiose embellishments for the modern viewer to understand the true, lush extravagance of Maria's lifestyle and the dreamy surrealism of her legacy. The bed is designed to engulf Maria as she sleeps in it. The portrait paintings on the walls have been resized and recreated, now with the image of Angelina Jolie. The true height of the ceilings has been lifted even higher to create this extremely warm glow of natural light. It all feels so ethereal and picturesque. And to respectfully embrace Maria Callas' legacy, every performance had applied a mix of Angelina Jolie's voice and Maria Callas' voice, mostly 1 to 4% Angelina and 96 to 99 Maria, and in a few cases 50-50 or 60-40. But while Pablo Larrain celebrates the wondrous memory of Maria, he very honestly and respectfully explores the darkness of Maria's life as well. A central character that would become the sum of the tragedies she played on stage. So let's discuss how Pablo communicates this in the next section of this video. The psychology, warmth of delusion. The movie opens with this film reel of Maria's life. It's this recreation of old footage, happily reflecting and reminiscing on Maria Callas' life, as if it was all beautiful, pleasant, and peaceful. And right after this dreamy sequence is over, we immediately cut to Maria burning all of her stage clothes. And these 2 juxtaposing moments perfectly set the war of inner conflict happening within Maria throughout this entire movie. Maria is being pulled in 2 opposing directions psychologically. On one hand, Maria endlessly basks in the memory of her talent, her success, and all of the admiration. Yet at the very same time, she's endlessly haunted by the pressure, the scrutiny, and the exploitation of her abilities. Her fondest dreams inevitably coexist with her worst of nightmares. And now, at a point where her voice isn't the way it was and her relationships have all fallen apart, all Maria can do is reflect, alone. And Maria copes with this excruciating state of loneliness with the delusion of company, attention, and admiration. You may notice how Mandrix and his cameraman visit Maria's apartment to interview her. Well, Mandrix and his cameraman don't actually exist. Mandrix is simply a delusion of Maria's mind. Symbolically, Mandrix is the name of one of the drugs Maria is taking. It's the official brand for methaqualone. Taken at the appropriate dose, Mandrix works as a sedative to combat insomnia, something Maria struggles with. But taken at an excessive dose, which Maria does, Mandrix causes delirium and delusions. Ferruccio even asks Maria if the interviewer coming over is real, and we never see Ferruccio or Bruna ever interact with Mandrix and his cameraman throughout the entire film, even when Mandrix is in the house. We also see many moments where Maria is with Mandrix, and then in the same moment, Mandrix is suddenly gone, as if Maria was talking to herself the whole time. But the concept of Mandrix isn't entirely a bad thing. This character of Mandrix is a psychological vehicle Maria uses to reflect on her past, face her demons, and express her deepest feelings. It's a long overdue look in the mirror, a look back on the highs and the lows through the very most honest lens. That's the whole purpose of this film. This is why it all takes place in the final week of Maria's life. The moment where she decides to take control of her life and finally do something for herself and find her voice again. Not only her physical voice, but her voice as a human, as a woman. So let's go back to where all of this selflessness started and how it's led her all the way to the point she's at now. The true story, traumatic reminiscence. Another sudden delusion that opens a massive window into Maria's past is when she sees a man in a suit getting out of the back of a vehicle across the street. The man is Aristotle Onassis, Maria's second and most well-known romantic partner. Onassis was an incredibly wealthy shipping tycoon who lived lavishly and disloyally to his many romantic partners. When Onassis met Maria, he claimed he was in love with her but refused to marry her, and had multiple ongoing romantic relationships at that time. Maria, however, remained deeply in love with him, pulling away from her professional career to embrace a life with Onassis. And at a certain point, while watching this film, you may be wondering, why him? Why would she give up everything for him? And for me to answer this question, I need to start at the very beginning. When Maria was a child, her mother was abusively pushy, hiding Maria from a normal childhood for her to train her voice on a daily basis. Her mother's overbearing parenting style stemmed from her own failed acting and performing career. If Maria was successful, her mother could live vicariously as a star through her. The scene in black and white where we see Maria, her mother, her sister, and 2 German soldiers shows us Maria's experience during World War II. Maria's mother would make her 2 daughters perform for and go out on dates with German and Italian soldiers in exchange for money and food. This was at the time of Germany and Italy's occupation of Greece during the war. Of course, such an abusive and manipulative mother-daughter relationship would lead to endless resentment, animosity, envy, and tension all throughout their lives, which explains Maria's many unfavorable comments about her mother throughout the entire film, never managing to fulfill the expectations of her abusive mother and her absent father. As Maria's career took off and her one-of-a-kind potential was unleashed, fame and show business began to consume her life entirely. She soon married Giovanni Medeghini, the first partner we see in the film. He offered a better sense of stability and helped Maria unleash more of her potential as her manager. The marriage seemed happy and promising until Maria met Onassis, the man who literally steals her away in that first scene between them. So this brings us back to that initial question. Why him? Why did Maria leave a marriage with a man who provided stability and guidance for a womanizer? A man who would only accept her as a mistress. A man claiming he loved her while married to the former First Lady to John F. Kennedy. A man who wouldn't let Maria have the child of his she was pregnant with. Here's the answer the film is very subtly pointing us to. Onassis was an escape, or more appropriately, an illusion of an escape. With Onassis, Maria was encouraged to pull away from the pressure and the crushing responsibility of global fame and show business. With such a lifestyle, Maria could finally let go, embrace the carelessness of the childhood she never had, and feel taken care of in a way she couldn't with either of her parents. Although Onassis wasn't the best partner, he was an escape from an even greater horror Maria had been living her whole life. The imprisoning pressure to share your God-given talent at the cost of wholesome human experience. But as mentioned before, Onassis only provided this illusion of freedom. And as we move closer to the end of this film, we witness Maria uncovering a different form of freedom, a true form of freedom, a proclaiming of one's own life, making peace with the tragedy of her past, and letting go of what is no longer. A swan song, transcending the stage, transcending the crowd, and transcending life itself.